Good evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Ishan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling you in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. Newly inducted ministers take charge of their ministries, pledged to carry forward the initiatives of the NDA government. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to leave on tour to African nations tonight, focus to be on talks involving strategic matters and sharing of natural resources. The FBI gives a clean chit to US Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, says it will not recommend criminal charges for the way she used her private email as Secretary of State. And in South Africa, Paralympian Oscar Pistorius sentenced to 6 years in jail for the murder of his girlfriend Reeva Steenkamp. Our top story this evening, the newly appointed ministers of the NDA government took charge of their ministries today. In a major cabinet reshuffle, portfolios of many ministers were changed. Anand Kumar, who was appointed Parliamentary Affairs Minister, appealed to opposition parties to cooperate with the government in the passage of important bills benefiting the common man.
आज मुझसे तथाकथित इतने सवालों पर जवाब मांगे जा रहे हैं तो मुझे सिर्फ इतना ही कहना है, कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना.
A day after being shunted out of the HRD ministry, the new textile minister evaded questions about the rationale behind the decision, which came as a surprise to many, perhaps the minister herself. Her successor in the HRD ministry, though, promised to carry forward the initiatives.
कल मैं 10:30 बजे पर ये मानव संसाधन विकास मंत्रालय का कार्यभार संभालूंगा, तब वो भी आएगी और हमने जो जितने प्रयास अच्छे हुए हैं अब वो किस स्टेज में है वगैरह वो चर्चा की.
Several other ministers also took charge of their respective ministries, including the new Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anand Kumar and the new INB Minister Venkaiah Naidu.
इस विकास मंत्र को लेकर के और आखिर के आदमी यानी गरीब से गरीब उन तक इस विकास को पहुंचाने की उस पर हम तीनों इस पार्लियामेंट को सभी दलों के सहयोग के साथ चलाने का हरगिज कोशिश करेंगे.
My mission would be to enable various media units of the government emerge as credible brands serving the cause of the information of the people.
Our priorities in this are very clear. First and foremost, quick justice delivery is central to good governance. And good governance and development is a priority key area of Shri Narendra Modi government. So that is expedited. Surely other issues are required to be attended to as well.
In a meeting with the newly inducted ministers after they took oath on Tuesday, Prime Minister had asked them to immediately take charge and start working in their respective ministries. Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV, Delhi.
And let's go across to our correspondent Vishal there for more on this story. Vishal, after the expansion yesterday, the reshuffle that happened really set the cat among the pigeons, and the big changes of Smriti Irani being shunted out of the HRD ministry. But talk to us about how the days progress as far as the new ministers are concerned. And there is also a little bit of disgruntlement from the people who've been dropped as well, isn't it?
Well, yes, indeed, you're right. The disgruntlement factor is there. Specifically, few of the MOSs who've been dropped have even clearly pointed out the kind of feeling which is there amongst their supporters, and this is something which might pass away in the time to come, in the days to come. But as far as today is concerned, Ishan, it has taken the entire day for this feeling to sink in, not only for the media, but also it seems to the politicians themselves as well, that those who were considered to be really close, very close to the Prime Minister have been relegated to ministries which are now not considered important, starting from Smriti Irani, from HRD to textile, or whether taking away of the INB ministry's additional charge from the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley and giving it to Venkaiah Naidu, and several other changes at the MOS level as well, and the MOS independent charge level as well. All the ministers who are taking charge are making right kind of noises. They're giving perfect media bites, statements like saying that they're going to carry on their predecessors' work in that particular ministry and will abide by what the Prime Minister say. But the real important challenge now would be for all these ministers to take on the work of the ministry and also defend it inside the Parliament in the forthcoming monsoon session. It is just 10 days to go, and these ministers, most of them have the charge of those ministries from where either some important bills or issues related to those ministries will come up for discussion on the floor of the House, and that is when the competence of those ministers will again be tested.
All right, Vishal, we'll leave it over there. Vishal will keep track of the story as it develops for us. Thanks very much for that. In fact, our correspondent spoke to some of the new ministers in the Modi cabinet. They include Anil Madhav Dave, a Narmada River conservationist and environmentalist who took charge as the Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and senior politician Vijay Goyal, who's been made Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports.
Joining me is the MOS IC for Environment, Mr. Anil Madhav Dave. Welcome to Rajya Television, sir. Sir, Environment Ministry comes with its own set of thorns. There are many activists who allege that a lot of rules and regulations are being diluted to help industries. What are going to be your priorities now?
Your planning, your intention, your action, your execution, everything should be in the right direction. For last 2.5 years, this government has done a splendid job in the field of climate change.
Even a cabinet minister expressed displeasure on culling of animals, a decision accorded not by the Environment Ministry.
Before understanding the subject.
All right. Even the Delhi government came up with the odd and even scheme to curb air pollution. What are your experiments now? What do you think your strategy would be to check rising levels of pollution?
The only thing is, let me understand the ministry and its subjects and its in length, if I will be able to understand, then...
Thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you, sir.
The Prime Minister Narendra Modi will leave for Africa, for a visit to Africa and to, in fact, 4 African countries later tonight. The first leg of his visit will include South Africa and Mozambique. He will then proceed to Tanzania and Kenya. Both strategically important countries. Modi will return to Delhi on the 12th of July.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to African nations will be an attempt to secure their natural resources for India. Accordingly, oil, gas, minerals, food and security will be the focus of his talks with leaders. On 7th of July, Modi will be in Mozambique capital Maputo for consultations with President Filipe Nyusi. India is expecting to finalize a deal to import 1 million tons of pulses with Mozambique.
But Mozambique is also the destination for nearly a quarter of the Indian investments in Africa, nearly $8 billion. And this involves a range of major PSUs. Some of these investments made by ICVL, this is a special purpose vehicle which was created.
The India-Africa Forum Summit earlier this year, followed by visits by President Pranab Mukherjee and Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari to some African nations, underline the importance that India is attaching to the continent.
So we are looking at really consolidating the gains that we have made at the IAFS. And that is why these visits were planned this year. And you would note that I said that this was the first half of the year. So we don't yet have the full calendar for the second half. So you wouldn't be surprised that some more visits would come up, both outgoing and actually several incoming visits also that are being looked at.
After Mozambique, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will reach South Africa. On 8th and 9th of July, he will meet President Jacob Zuma and other senior officials. The talks are likely to center around deepening a geopolitical and strategic relationship, especially with reference to NSG, the UN Security Council and BRICS.
We have actually a 5-year-old CEOs forum which will be meeting, which has the top 20 CEOs from India and their counterparts from Africa. They would be meeting, and the leaders would be addressing an enlarged business meet.
The next stage of the visit will take the Prime Minister to Tanzania and Kenya. On 10th of July, Modi is expected to meet Tanzanian Prime Minister John Pombe.
The discussions are expected to revolve around energy and the solar power initiative.
We have this program called Training of Solar Mamas. Solar Mamas are these grandmothers from villages who are brought by Barefoot College. So he will also be meeting a group of 40 or so solar mamas from different parts of Africa, which Barefoot College has sort of trained. We are also actually funding setting up of one of the Barefoot College centers in Tanzania.
On 10th of July itself, Modi will reach Kenyan capital Nairobi, where his meetings with various leaders will focus on strategic issues, tourism, sports and cooperation in education. During his Africa tour, Prime Minister Modi will also address the Indian diaspora in each of the nations. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Delhi's former Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit today got a notice from the Anti-Corruption Branch for alleged involvement in irregularities involving a 48 crore rupee water meter project. The ACB asked the former Chief Minister to join the investigation, even as the Aam Aadmi Party government raised questions over the probe.
A day after she accepted a new political role in election-bound Uttar Pradesh, the Delhi Anti-Corruption Branch, controlled by the central government, summoned Delhi's former Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit in 48 crore water meter scam. It appears that you are acquainted with facts and circumstances of case and are required to join investigation.
Delhi Jal Board ने 2.5 लाख वाटर मीटर्स खरीदे हैं. उसमें एलिगेशंस है कि उसमें प्रॉपर टेंडरिंग नहीं की और टेंडर कंडीशंस को चेंज किया गया, मतलब इस तरह से बनाया गया, मैनिपुलेट किया गया जिससे कि निजी कंपनी को फ़ायदा हो और अल्टीमेटली L&T को वो टेंडर मिला है. तो इसमें 48 करोड़ के आसपास का टेंडर है. तो इसमें हम जांच कर रहे हैं कि इसमें लिखा है कि इसमें कई गड़बड़ियाँ हुई हैं उस टेंडर में, तो उसकी जांच चल रही है.
Delhi Water Minister Kapil Mishra questioned the ACB's leniency towards Sheila Dikshit.
जब मेरे को नोटिस आया तो उसमें लिखा था इतनी तारीख को इतने बजे इस जगह पर आपको आना पड़ेगा, और शीला दीक्षित तो कह रहे हैं जब आपका मन हो आप आ जाना, नहीं आओगे तो हम आपके घर में आके आपसे बात कर लेंगे.
The case was filed in 2014 with the Anti-Corruption Branch. It said the Delhi Jal Board bought 2.5 lakh cubic meters without proper tendering. The charge was that conditions were changed to benefit private companies.
It is totally politically motivated, and if and when the time comes to answer something, I will answer it.
After coming into power, the AAP government filed 5 complaints against Sheila Dikshit. They include irregularities in the water tanker plan, CNG fitness scheme, street lights purchased during Commonwealth Games, AMR meters and non-AMR water meters. Anu Diwan's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more national news stories now nationwide. The National Investigation Agency says it's examining the speeches and activities of Islamic preacher Zakir Naik after investigations into the Dhaka attack revealed that 2 of the 5 militants were inspired by him. The agency said it's proving whether Naik advocates or justifies terrorism in his speeches. The agency may even consider speaking to him after his return from Saudi Arabia. Naik is a Mumbai-based preacher who appears on Peace TV that is banned in the UK and Canada. Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson Ashish Khaitan was today accused of hurting religious sentiments in Punjab, where the party is campaigning for next year's elections in the state. In Amritsar, Khaitan had equated his party's poll manifesto to the Bible, Gita and the Guru Granth Sahib. The booklet also used an image of the Golden Temple. At least 7 people were killed and 6 injured in Bihar after they were struck by lightning in a village in the Gaya district. The state government announced a compensation of 4 lakh rupees for the families of the victims. As many as 59 people died last month in the state due to lightning. Time for us to take a short break. Lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Life after death was a cardinal belief in the Harappan civilization. Reflecting this is the skeleton of a middle-aged woman with gold bangles. Excavated from Rakhigadi in Haryana, it's an example of the burial practices in those times. Much like the Egyptian mummies, vessels, eatables, ornaments were kept near the dead body. in the hope that they would be of use to the person in the next world.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Some international news now. And hailing the 1st of July terror attack in Dhaka, the Islamic State released a video threatening more such attacks in Bangladesh. Calling the Dhaka attack a glimpse of what is to come, the Islamic State pledged to establish Islamic law in Bangladesh and beyond. The video message, believed to be issued from Raqqa in Bangla, was first found in an IS affiliate website and then released on YouTube early on Wednesday. The pounds hit a fresh 31-year low against the dollar on Wednesday, even as the worries over the UK's exit from the European Union continue to disturb financial markets. At one point, the currency dropped to 1.2798 to a dollar before recovering slightly to 1.293 to a dollar. The pound has now fallen by about 14% against the dollar after the referendum result. Analysts expect it to further fall. According to reports, the fallout from the referendum is likely to increase risks, including a potential drop in foreign direct investment and a rise in household debt and unemployment. The last time the pound was lower than this was in June 1985. In a big relief to U.S. Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, the FBI said it will not recommend criminal charges against Clinton over her use of private email while she was Secretary of State. The agency, however, called her extremely careless with classified information.
Ending legal uncertainty over controversial emails, the FBI on Tuesday gave a clean sheet to U.S. Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton. The FBI said it will not recommend criminal charges against Clinton over her use of private email while she was Secretary of State. The FBI, however, pointed that the presidential nominee was extremely careless with classified information.
Although we did not find clear evidence that Secretary Clinton or her colleagues intended to violate laws governing the handling of classified information, there is evidence that they were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information.
The FBI also took a dig at the State Department, saying a lax culture existed within the department and that there was a general carelessness for classified information. The State Department, in its defense, said it took the confidentiality of classified information seriously.
We don't share that assessment of our institution. That said, and I've said this many times before, we're always looking for ways to improve. We're going to continue to look for ways to improve.
Meanwhile, Clinton's presidential rival and the Republican nominee Donald Trump called the FBI assessment totally rigged. Trump also accused Clinton of indulging in secretive and illegal behavior and said she was unfit to be president.
Today is the best evidence ever that we've seen that our system is absolutely, totally rigged. It's rigged.
The lives of the American people were put at risk by Hillary Clinton so that she could carry on her corrupt financial dealings. That's probably why she didn't want people to see what the hell she was doing.
The investigation dogged Clinton's campaign for the past year, with critics slamming her as untrustworthy and above the law. The decision comes as a big relief to her before a likely face-off with Donald Trump for the presidential race. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
A Turkish military helicopter on Wednesday crashed into the Black Sea, killing 7 people and injuring the other 8 on board. The S-70 was carrying senior military officers and members of their families, among them several children. No reason was given for the crash, but poor weather is suspected to have been the cause of the accident. The passengers were reportedly flying to Eid celebrations in Giresun.
Öyle yani bir görüşle ilgili bir problem olduğu yönünde. Dolayısıyla enkaz çalışmaları, tabii yaralılar, ölüler alındıktan sonra kazanın sebebi etraflıca araştırılacak.
Some international news now and Global Buzz. 10 people were killed and dozens injured in a suicide bomb blast near the Central Security Headquarters next to the Aden International Airport in Yemen. The death toll was expected to rise further. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack. In Chilean capital Santiago, police clashed with thousands of students protesting against the government's slow and pace of educational reforms. Violence erupted after protesters were confronted by police on their way towards the Department of Education. The students and education workers are calling on President Michelle Bachelet to fulfill her promise of implementing a new law approved by Chile's Congress granting free education to students. South Korean and US troops jointly conducted air and ground combat training near the port city of Pohang, south of Seoul on Wednesday. The drills deployed about 1,300 Marine Corps from both the countries, as well as 8 Korean assault amphibious vehicles and several mortars. Paralympian Oscar Pistorius was sentenced to 6 years in jail in connection with the murder of his girlfriend Riva Steenkamp. Pistorius said he will not appeal against the sentence. Pistorius was convicted of killing Riva at his home in Pretoria in the early hours of Valentine's Day 3 years ago.
Oscar Pistorius was sentenced to 6 years in jail for murdering his girlfriend Riva Steenkamp in 2013. The South African Paralympic athlete listened with his head down to the verdict that finally brought down the curtail of the trial drama.
I am of the view that a long term of imprisonment will not serve justice in this matter. Mr. Pistorius, please rise. In the result, the sentence that I impose on the accused for the murder dolus eventualis of the deceased, that is Riva Steenkamp, is 6 years imprisonment.
However, prosecutor Gary Nell asked the court for a minimum of 15 years during arguments last month. While Barry Rocks, appearing for Pistorius, asked the court to show some leniency as Pistorius was vulnerable without his prosthesis on. Pistorius has already served 1 year in jail over his previous conviction of culpable homicide, convicted in 2014. He is legally obliged to serve half of his new sentence in prison before being eligible for parole. The 6-time Paralympic gold medalist shot Steenkamp in the early hours of Valentine's Day in 2013, claiming he mistook her for a burglar when he fired 4 times through the door of his bedroom toilet. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Argentina and Barcelona football star Lionel Messi was sentenced to 21 months in prison for tax fraud. His father, Jorge Messi, was also given a jail term for defrauding the Spanish government of $4.5 million between 2007 and 2009. Both face millions of euros in fines for using tax havens in Belize and Uruguay. Messi and his father were found guilty of 3 counts of tax fraud in Wednesday's ruling by the court in Barcelona. Messi retired from international football late last month. He has won the FIFA World Player of the Year 5 times as is one of the richest athletes in the world. Time now for all the sporting action in Sportsbeat. Indian shuttlers HS Pranoy, B Sai Praneeth and RMV Gursaidat advanced to the second round of the US Open badminton tournament. Pranoy defeated local favourite Calvin Lind 21-7, 21-6. In another game, Sai Praneeth breezed past his Swedish rival Henry 21-13, 21-12, while Gursaidat eased past Phillips Yap of the United States 21-8, 21-13. Swimmers Sajan Prakash and Shivani Kataria have been selected as the country's wildcard entries for the Rio Olympics next month. This after none of the swimmers managed to make the A cut that is required for direct qualification. 5 swimmers appeared in the last qualifying event in Hong Kong but failed to clock the timing required for the A cut. The wildcard in the case is formally termed as the universality quota. Swiss tennis stars Roger Federer will take on 9-seed Marin Cilic in the quarterfinals of the men's singles in Wimbledon today. The British star Andy Murray will face French opponent Wilfried Tsonga in another quarterfinal. Federer will equal Jimmy Connor's record of 13 Wimbledon semi-final appearances if he advances to the semi-finals. England registered an 8-wicket victory over Sri Lanka at the Rose Bowl in the lone T20 match of Sri Lanka's tour of England. Batting first, Lanka posted a total of 140 as Liam Dawson and Chris Jordan picked up 3 wickets each. In reply, Jos Buttler's unbeaten 73 powered England to victory in just 17.3 overs. Gerardo Martino has resigned as the head coach of Argentina. In a statement published by the Argentina Football Association, Martino said he and his coaching staff quit due to management disputes in the association and difficulties in getting the squad together in time for the Olympics. That's all from us. Goodbye.